wrestling, and I'm telling God, hey, it's not my agenda. PG again, guys, it's not my agenda to go into ministry because they don't get much money. I've got different career aspirations, I've got different things I want to do. And God and I wrestled and then I fell asleep. 4 years later, it's 2009. 4 years later, it's 2009. And I moved from being a full-time teacher to a part-time teacher so I could spend more time working, doing this and running Fusion and hanging out with you guys. And I guess I tell this not so you guys can go, wow, Mr. Harris doesn't get paid much to do this. I tell you guys this because I want to point out that it took 4 years for me to get here. But God was talking to me, and God knew what was best for me. And it began by reading His Word, His living Word. Now, another way we can connect with God is through prayer. Now, God is real. He listens, He hears, and He answers all our prayers. And you're probably going, whoa, Mr. Harris, prayer, really? God answers all prayers? And I'm like, yeah, God answers every single prayer. And you go, come on, I can tell you a million prayers that I asked and God didn't answer. And it's true. I asked for a motorbike when I was little. I've never got a motorbike. I also asked God to make me the King of England. I am not the King of England.
I asked for chocolate.
You asked for chocolate? You're going to get it on Monday. So here we are, right? We pray about lots of different things, and I'm saying that God answers all prayers. Not always in the way you guys want it. Not always in the way you think is best, but they are prayers answered nonetheless. He hears every single prayer, and He responds to every single prayer. I can guarantee this. Hey, it was a cool challenge, I'll be honest, straight up front. I don't do this. But when Kat and I first got married 2 and a bit years ago, one of my mates came up to me and he says, what you need to do is to write a journal of everything you pray. I'm like, yeah, okay, I can do that. I can write a journal of everything I pray. Yeah, right, I'm not that disciplined. And he says, then what I want you to do is to go back each month, and I want you to look at your list of prayers. And I want you to tick off the prayers that God has answered. I'm like, well, man, that'd be totally awesome if I did something like that. And it would be. If I did something like that, it would be awesome. I know, because I pray a lot with my wife about different stuff over the course of our marriage, I know that God has answered so many of our different prayers. And He continues to answer our prayers. I know He answers your prayers. I guess the real question is, have you actually taken the time to pray? To ask Him a question? To communicate? Have you taken the time to listen to the answer that might come? Or to look for it? God is real, God is listening, and you can connect with Him through His Word, His Bible. You can connect with Him through prayer. But there's other ways to connect with God. Some people connect with God through nature. And that sort of sounds really weird, like tree huggers, right? And I guess if I put it this way, if I'm like going along and I look up and I see the sky, it just tells me whether it's going to be hot or cold the next day. But for other people, it tells them something totally different. And a week ago, my wife was driving along. Lots of stories about Kat tonight. And she saw a bunch of ducks flying in a V, and we all should know, if you've done your science, why they fly in a V. Because the first one takes all of the wind, and it spreads it out through the rest of them, and the back two are also working quite hard. And if you know the story, you'll know that ducks rotate around so they can share the workload. And she sees us driving to work, and what does she do? She reads it up about it on Google, and then she gets up on stage on a Sunday morning to lead worship. And she starts sharing with people how we come together to worship, how sometimes we're in a bad place or a hard place and we're doing all the work, and sometimes we're in a good place and things are going really well. Just like the ducks, we need to rotate around so we can work together. Hey, that's God in nature. It's really weird. My wife went to the zoo once and she saw elephants, and like most of us think, wow, big tusks, crazy elephants, giant ears. She notices when an elephant's standing still, it's not actually still. It's swaying from side to side. And again, my wife being a little bit weird this time, she goes home and she Googles why elephants always move, and she finds out, if I remember the story correctly, because I'm not much of an elephant expert, she finds out they do that so that they can keep blood circulating through their gigantic bodies. And when I think about it, and when you think about it, it's quite simply because God has designed these elephants, and He's made these finite details. Do you see God in nature? Who here knows Jules? He's one of the chaplains at the school. Yeah, he's totally awesome. Like Jules, right? I find this weird, but it's really cool. He has to go out into the bush, right? He has to go out and just go into the wild once in a while to get away from totally everything in the city because he feels hemmed in. And if he doesn't do that, if he doesn't go into the bush and connect with God, things don't quite work out for him for whatever reason. he's got to go spend that time out in nature. And I guess that's just one way that he connects with God. You know, some people, they find that they connect with God when they share their faith. They go up to the friends, they tell their story about how God provided for them, or how God saved them, how he met them, or how he reassured them, or how he loved them. Maybe you connect with God like this. But have you started to try share your faith? For others, they connect with God through serving, stacking chairs, picking up rubbish, finding a person or a friend and helping them to throw up because they're really, really sick or something to that effect.
Right.
And you know, you could be like, oh my goodness, this really, really sucks. But for some people, it's just like, hey, I'm blessed. I'm so well looked after. And I've got this position where I can help. And as they're doing this, God's speaking to them and God's using them. They connect to God through doing this. When was the last time that you're walking around that you saw someone in need and thought, I wonder why I'm getting emotional about this. I wonder why I feel like I need to help this person. Could it be that God's talking to you? And could it be that you connect to him through serving? How do you connect with God? Have you tried? I connect with God through acts of service. That's why you see me out on the playground. That's why I'm going to talk to you guys about your love life. That's why I'm going to hang out with you guys pretty much no matter what. On a recess or a lunchtime. It's not to scab your food, believe it or not. It's because I think you guys are totally awesome. But it's also why I'm totally happy, if you want to talk about essay structure, to give up every single lunchtime to talk about essay structure. And I would kind of love for you guys to do that. I'm thinking it's not going to happen. And one of the other ways I connect with God is through worship, which is church music. And so that's why when you go to my iTunes list, you'll find that most of the music on there is just church stuff. It's about how glorious God is. It's about how he loves me. And it's how he created things. And I find as I sing these things out, or just listen to them, because I'm not very good at singing, or play them out on my guitar, that something happens between us. And I hear his voice, and I'm reassured and reaffirmed, and I get direction. Do you know how you connect with God? It's an awesome, awesome privilege to follow God. But how can you follow him if you don't know how you connect with him? Have you taken the time to try to find this out? Just two simple points. It's a privilege to follow God. And do you know how you connect with him? Hey, tonight we're nearly finished, so a couple of minutes left. I've got a couple of year 11s, right? They're going to come up, they're going to share a little bit about their faith journeys. Now I want you guys to give Rachel...